I'm James Brierton. We have new details this week after 10 tornadoes in South Carolina on Tuesday, April 5th, and Wednesday, April 6th. We're going to bring you this list. It is extensive, and I just want to remind you of the hours that the National Weather Service put in not only to warning of these storms in real time, but then traveling to all of these locations to survey the damage paths, some of which you're about to hear are very long. We begin on that Tuesday at 3:50 p.m. The first tornado in Allendale County, South Carolina, confirmed now to be an EF3 tornado with winds peaking at 137 miles an hour. The tornado was on the ground for over 13 miles, and it prompted the National Weather Service to issue a rare and catastrophic tornado emergency. Luckily, no one was killed as a result of this tornado, which traveled from Millbury to Sycamore. At 4:18 p.m., an EF1 tornado in Bamberg County on the ground for a total of 4 miles with 110 mile-per-hour peak winds. Again, no one injured, but like so many other tornadoes on this day, it caused damage to trees, vehicles, and adjacent homes. Now, minutes later, we take you to 4:39 p.m., also still in Bamberg County, an EF0 tornado with peak winds of 85 miles an hour. This tornado on the ground for over 2 miles, producing what the Weather Service calls sporadic tree damage. At 4:53 p.m., a tornado now on the ground in Orangeburg, found to be an EF0 tornado with peak winds of 80 miles an hour. It was on the ground for just under a mile, beginning near Branchville High School. It removed the roof from a shed, it toppled the backstop of the baseball fields, and it displaced the bleachers there at the school. Fast forwarding just a little to 5:07 p.m. in Bowman, also in Bamberg County, another EF0 tornado with peak winds of 85 miles an hour. It was on the ground for less than a mile, and it caused damage to a 6-acre solar farm. At 5:35 p.m., an EF2 tornado begins near Monietta in Aiken County, traveling over 6 miles. This tornado would peak with winds at 130 miles an hour. The tornado crossed over Interstate 20, where video shows that the trees were snapped in half. So many trees toppled by this storm that the National Weather Service said as they went to visit one home that was damaged, they actually had to wait for storm crews to clear the road. There were so many downed trees, they couldn't actually get to the damaged neighborhood. This storm would cause one injury before the tornado ended near Gilbert, which is in Lexington County. It's 6:03 p.m. now, the biggest tornado of the day. It's the second EF3 tornado in Allendale County. This one becoming just 2 hours after that last storm, and this one lasting for nearly an hour. It traveled 35 miles from Ulmer to Bowman, along the way crossing through portions of Bamberg and Orangeburg counties. The tornado, its path, 5 football fields wide, 500 yards at its peak, with peak winds of 160 miles an hour. It took teams from both the National Weather Service in Charleston and the National Weather Service in Columbia to survey this storm, and in their findings, they use words like remarkable when describing the damage to nearly 2 acres worth of trees. After reviewing the extensive tree damage, the National Weather Service believes this may have actually been multiple, we'll say, tornadoes.
Interesting to see if could be twins.
There could have been, adjacent to the main tornado, other rotating columns of air that didn't actually reach the ground, so they weren't actually secondary tornadoes. But they lowered enough that the Weather Service found evidence, get this, of damage to treetops from these secondary columns. Numerous homes were damaged. Luckily, no one was hurt or killed as this tornado traveled, again, 35 miles. While all of that is happening, also beginning at the same time, 6:03 p.m., and also in Allendale County, there was another tornado, the third for Allendale County. The National Weather Service found storm damage related to an EF1 tornado with peak winds of 95 miles an hour. It began just west of a farm, which is located on Wells Branch Road. On that farm, it threw a grain silo. Let's take you now to 6:20 p.m., this time in Hampton County. An EF0 tornado with peak winds of 82 miles an hour It uprooted trees, overturned small vehicles, and threw a small grain bin. It lasted about 2 miles. 6:20 in Lexington County, an EF1 tornado with peak winds of 105 miles an hour on the ground for nearly 6 miles, including crossing busy Interstate 26. It's 7:12 now. Another EF0, this one in Dorchester County. It had winds of 73 miles an hour, lasting over 5.5 miles long. Not to be forgotten, the following day now, April 6th at 10:50 p.m., an EF0 tornado with 75 mile per hour winds on the ground for a mile, causing tree damage near Waltersboro. What an extensive list. Hats off to the men and women of the National Weather Service again, who had to issue those life-saving warnings and then spent numerous hours and days doing the storm survey.